Hey guys, so just for everybody's sake, understanding this difference in lead quality, and then, we need to be doing a bunch of grassroots marketing too. Those
Yeah.
have various levels of lead quality. But again, don't forget those are two predictors of engagement or
So
of capacity to engage. One is, am I getting back to them right away and with enough contact formats like call, text, email, mail, direct mail, all that stuff. The second is, was I generating, you know, lower quality leads? I mean, we can get you 1,000 leads a month on Facebook. They're just not going to be very good.
so we went both ways, Master Moody is first we were getting a lot of leads and we got really tightened up and then we spoke about it in one of the calls and you guys said, hey, relax your parameters a little bit because I was looking for too much of a quality. So all we're able to get is about 60 leads from our audience, if you would. Now, maybe we're not using all the right, keywords, but from our audience in our area, 5 mile radius, we're getting about 60 leads. Maz is telling me if we spend any more, we're just gonna be repeating ads to the same people. We're not getting different people. Uh,
That's not necessarily bad though. Particularly on your
True.
Facebook, you want multiple impressions on the Facebook, so it depends. I think
We're
Fahad,
doing
we're
four
top.
impressions per person, and we're paying about, I think, $27 per lead right now.
That's pretty high for Facebook, but I would
Mhm.
expect the lead quality to be better if you're tightening. I think we need to look at that in more detail. What I'd
Okay.
recommend, Fahad, is why don't you do a report of your spend,
Okay.
the leads you got, and then how they're broken down by source, and then we
Okay.
could kind of take, and then don't forget the other numbers, which is we set this many appointments,
Got that.
we had this many show up, and we enrolled this many, and then by each lead source. Now, for most of you guys, Fahad's doing it. He really is focused on tracking his numbers, and he's got a lot of sophisticated software systems. I don't necessarily expect all the rest of you guys to do it to that level of detail. But if the question needs to get answered, hey, I got a bunch of leads, but I didn't get any of them in, then we got to kind of look at these kind of things. What typically happens is not what you're doing, Fahad, but for a lot of you guys, they say, I got a lot of leads, but nobody's coming in. The only thing they did was Facebook marketing, or the only thing they did was live events, or the only thing. And then, for one, it's easier to try to diagnose what's wrong. Typically, it's further back. So you're asking the right question, but let's get the data and then figure it out. Okay, fair enough. Okay, what other questions do we have? Thank you, Fahad. I hope that was useful for everybody too. By the way, if you understand the thing, I'm trying to go fast. What other questions do we have here so we can get everybody's problem solved in the next couple minutes?
Well, I earlier in the phone call, it was speaking about parents and kind of some of the dialogue between parents and I have a question that when the parents are talking about when they defer to the child, well, I want Johnny to do this as long as Johnny wants to do this, it's kind of like the child is in control of everything. So,
Mm.
um, you know, what's your take on that?
There's a post I made in the Circle group. If you can't find it, let me know. Sherry, you were
Okay.
asking about this earlier in a text as well, called Lobby Talk.
I found the post in Circle under enrollment conference.
But you didn't
Lobby
find the
Talk
Lobby Talk?
Lobby Talk didn't show me any
Really?
results.
Okay. Well, just message me on that, and then I'll post it. But I'll post it. It's either in there or it's not. And I'll sometimes I post stuff, and when you do the search, it doesn't. I need to put some more search terms in there. But Lobby Talk covers like what when parents ask. Why is the class so big? Why aren't there 5 instructors on the floor? What if my kid wants to quit? All this stuff. So there's a whole bunch of things covered in there.
Okay.
Well, if but let's talk about this in terms of my perception. I'm a little harder on this than most people. I don't care. I want you to hear this real clearly. I don't care if the kid likes karate. I am uninterested in whether the kid likes the classes. So you'll never hear my instructor say, "Well, we're going to do class, and we'll talk about it to see if he likes it." I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested at all whether the kid likes the classes. What I'm interested in is whether or not the parents see that it's going to provide some value for their kids. So
Okay.
fundamentally, that's an important point of view. And we tend to do a lot of, oh, did you like it today, Johnny? Did you like? Now we'll still say at the end of class, an intro class, you ready to become a black belt? and they're all, because they've been, the intro class was good, they're 100% of the time going to say yes sir. And I don't mean 99%, I mean 100% they say yes sir, because we've trained them in the intro class basically that they are interested in becoming a black belt. So yes, but then that question, Nathan, does happen. So with that perspective though, the answer is it's not as important whether he likes to do it as whether you see value in it. What do you want to get out of this for him? And we've already talked, now hopefully we've already talked about that. So the conversation would be, they say that and we say, well, what's most important is what you want to get out of this for him. What you wanted him to get was self-discipline. And we talked about that because right now everything's a mess at home. He doesn't listen. He also at school isn't bringing home his paperwork, and sometimes he lies about it. So those were things that were really important for you to get from this type of training. Is that what's important to you?
Okay. Right.
And then they're going to say, yeah, but I want to see if he wants to do it. Well, right now he wants to do it. I mean, you want to be a black belt, Johnny? He goes, yeah. Now this is how I do it. You're going to get maybe a different answer from other people, but he's going to say yes because I already asked him, do you want to be a black belt? Right? So I'm going to ask him. I say, but here's what's going to happen, Mr. and Mrs. Ray. One day he's gonna, feel like watching TV or eating ice cream or doing something else. He won't feel like coming to class. That's going to be the time where you've got to remember what we're trying to accomplish. That it specifically discipline, and then I'll repeat the stuff that we've talked about. So is that important to you? Just understand that's normal for kids. One day they're excited about something, one day they're not. And what our job is to kind of help them through it so we get to accomplish what you want.
Right. Okay. I like that. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Now, I don't say out loud, just to be clear, I don't say out loud to the parents, I could give a crap if your kid likes karate. We don't say that, but
Right.
whenever I hear my guys saying, well, let's do karate and want to see if you like it, or what, I don't, it's uninteresting. That's so ridiculous in a way, because imagine you went to, well, I guess parents do this sometimes now, but imagine you took your kid first grade and you might ask how they liked it, but it doesn't mean you're going to not do first grade if they said they didn't like it.
Right. Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
that would be weird. Of
Right.
course, parents nowadays kind of do that because they try a different school, and they try a different school to see which one their kid likes. Why don't they try a school to see? Smart parents would try a school to see which one's going to give them the best outcomes for their kid.
That makes
Sir,
sense. Yep.
that's exactly what happened to me yesterday. I had a first intro come in.
Uh,
It's this girl who is already 12, but she doesn't do any activities. She's homeschooled. She's on the tablet all the time, and their parents are trying to shelter her from real life. And so she's very like weak and soggy kind of person. And so when I told her to do the stop, leave
weak
me
and
alone,
soggy. Did you say
yeah,
weak and
weak and
soggy?
soggy, yeah.
Okay.
So she goes, she goes, stop, stop. I'm like, no, say stop and hold your hand out. And then she just really doesn't want to do it. And the parents wanted it for her. And they went home, they signed up to take the second intro. And they just texted me today. They're like, because, we were talking about bullying, and they were like, well, that's why I don't put her in regular school, because we want to, shelter her from that.
Hmm.
And then they went home, and then they texted me back, oh, we decided not to try the group intro after all because she just doesn't want to do it. And I'm like, okay, like
What did they want to get out of the program? What did they say they wanted to get
they
out of it?
they told me they wanted to get confidence. They
Okay.
wanted her to
What
get.
what what did that mean for her?
She's kind of like,
No, no, I
um,
don't mean your opinion. What did they say confidence meant to them?
sir, I don't believe I went into that. I'm
Right.
sorry. I was
And
supposed to.
that's normal for this call. Although you've been with us a while, Sherry. On our student information sheet. So here's I have this next to my desk because we train the staff on it. So on our student information sheet down here, all of you guys have something like this when they walk in, and you ask them what they want to get out of martial arts.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
I only ask them four things: self-defense, self-discipline, self-confidence, physical fitness. That's all that's on there, and they have to number them 1 through 4.
Yes, sir.
Okay, don't have 55 things on there. Um, those four, and that's really what we've studied. That the four primary things people come in for: self-confidence, self-discipline, physical fitness, or safety. And
Yes, sir.
it's really in that order. Self-confidence is by far the number one. Discipline's number two, and then the other two are hardly ever. The only time I ever had somebody say fitness when I was a kid was when the parent was super fat. The parent must have
Okay.
weighed 350 pounds. And, well, no, I'm sorry, it's the opposite. They didn't say fitness. I say, well, what do you want for your kid? And they said self confidence. I said, well, what do you want number two? They said self discipline. What do you want number three? Safety. And, like, what about fitness? Well, it's like the parents were 400 pounds, the kids were 300 pounds. Anyway, that's just my flashback to a bad story. So what we want to do when we ask these things then is whatever their number one was, let's say it's self-confidence. And we say, okay, well, so for the parents, let's just role play for a second, and you're the parent. So what does that mean? What's the kid's name?
Um, her Amy.
Amy. Okay, so what does that mean for Amy when you guys say you want self-confidence?
Um, I want her to be able to uh t speak with conviction more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Say more about that.
Right now when she talks, she answers every question with like it sounds like a question.
Oh, like what? How?
Like if, for example, if she said stop, she goes, stop, stop.
Oh, yeah. So at the end of the at the end of the word, it's like it sounds like she's not sure about what she's saying.
Correct, sir.
Okay. So where else does she need confidence?
That's about it, I guess.
So the only thing you want for confidence is that she doesn't speak a certain way. She speaks a little louder.
Maybe her body posture.
Okay. So here's what we're trying to do. I want this to be another couple minutes of the conversation. What
Hmm.
I'm going to get out of them is that, well, she doesn't speak loud, and also how does that affect, I would ask, how does that affect her with other kids? Well, she didn't get to play with other kids. In fact, we don't have her go with other kids because, we're worried about them bullying her. Well, is it possible that bullying her, I'd ask this, is it possible that speaking this way would encourage other kids to bully her? Well, yes. So one thing that I'm wondering if what we want to accomplish is her being confident enough so she can interact with other kids and not get bullied, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
so now they've got in their mind what we're trying to do. And then
Okay.
back to Nathan's question, when we do the intro lesson and she's quiet, we're never going to correct anybody and tell them to yell louder. In fact, it's in our charter in our school. This is a metal card that our instructors carry. It says, we're a highly disciplined martial arts school. Karate Belt's a highly disciplined martial arts school. We measure results based not on who we exclude, but on students' constant growth. So that means wherever they're at is where they're at.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So my job at the intro then is to get the parents to understand what we're trying to accomplish is to change this behavior. And so I don't know that the kids said they didn't want to do it. It sounds to me in that case that parents just thought, oh, she was really afraid and timid when she went to class, so I don't know if she wants to do it. And then they said to her, are you sure you want to do it? Or do you think you can handle it? See, and what if a
Well,
parent, go
yeah,
ahead.
they asked me in the intro. They asked
Uh-huh.
they in the intro, she's like, I don't want to go to the second class. I don't want to go. I don't
Oh,
want to go.
she said that. Okay.
Yeah, and then they were like, "Oh, this is gonna be good, and you should go." So they signed her up, but she
Well,
was like, "No, no."
right, but let's back up though, because you didn't tell me that information. So
Okay,
if the
sorry.
if the kid's freaking out about coming to the second class, like the kid's literally saying no, then we would always do a second individual class, not a group class.
I see.
Yeah, so you missed that piece of information. There's two levers we have to pull here. One is if the parents focus, as I was mentioning to Nathan and to you guys, if the parents focus is on some great thing that they need to accomplish, and the consequence of not doing it is the kid's going to be a little, what'd you say, soft and squishy or something? The kid's going to be poorly confident,
Foggy.
soggy, yeah, yeah, have bad outcomes. So if the kid's going to have bad outcomes, and by the way, in the adult market too, somebody's kind of out of shape and they come in and they come in to be the same thing in the adult market. Okay, this is what our goals are. This is what we're trying to do. Well, I'm not sure I can really handle it. Or I'm not sure I can make it. This is intimidating for me. Then we have to talk about what the goals are and what the outcomes are that we want. And also, hey, if you don't do it, what would happen? So if you don't do a class like this, what's going to happen for your kid? So let's come back to this.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
solve problem number one. problem number one is kids freaking out and goes, I don't want to come to the next class, and they have a lot of confidence issues. We will do another individual lesson, a private lesson. We may do a couple more.